All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Run! Go! This is the podcast!
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
Podcast.
and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get to the Movies. That's Get to the Movies with the number 2. My name is Tiago de Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
Okay, I'm gonna make you an offer that you can't. Shut the fuck up! You shut the fuck up, okay? You just shut the fuck up. That line has been used so many fucking times that I'm fucking done with it.
He's got a
okay,
little
you
Tony-
shut the fuck up. I don't care.
He's got a little.
I am sitting here,
he's
and
got
I
a
want to
little-
give you an offer that I can't refuse, but you keep yelling at me. Okay. All right, listen. Okay. You shut the fuck up, okay? Because I am in charge. Anywho, that's all I got.
I gotta tell you, your
that was
Joe,
good,
your
that was
Joe
good.
Pesci has a little Tony Montana in it.
It
There's
did.
a little bit of a
did.
speech thing.
A little
It's
bit,
a little
yeah.
Al
But it was
Pacino.
good. It was good.
pretty
It
good.
made me think of Home Alone, actually. Home Alone 2.
Wrong fucking movie, damn it. Okay.
That's my
fine.
go-to for Joe Pesci.
Is it?
Yeah. So with my last name being Gambino, you would think that
You work at 7-Eleven?
Okay. I feel like that's racist against somebody, but like in a hinty.
Not
kind of
really,
way.
because Gambino Italian, you're white, so
It
doesn't
Not
match.
going
It doesn't.
anywhere.
It doesn't make
You're not
sense.
You're not going anywhere.
That's what I'm
with
saying.
it.
The 7-Eleven doesn't make sense.
Okay, yeah, it's true.
So it's not racist.
So I grew up in New York, and my last name's Gambino. So I grew up in the 80s and the 90s when the mafia was still at the height of its, and the Gambino crime family was still at the height of its power. Gotti was around at that time, and who was the head of the Gambino crime family. And I really did love these movies, and I used to get a lot of times people were like, of that family. Like there was an actual thing when we were growing up where we would get, if there were we didn't have a reservation at a nice restaurant. If we went in, if we gave our name, they would actually give us seats. Like that was a real thing. We go in. My sister would go to a place where she was going to a club or a show or whatever, and she was trying to buy tickets at the door, and they sold out, and she dropped her name, and then they put her at the front at the stage. That was the thing, because it was sort of like they weren't going to risk. You know
The
what I mean?
unknown,
The
yeah.
unknown,
Yeah.
and that name, and that name held. Now it doesn't. Now it's just funny. Now I get so much Childish Gambino references. I'm like, they're like, "Are you related to Childish Gambino?" I'm like,
Didn't
"Yes."
he just go on like
Yes, me
a
and Donald-
rapper generator or whatever?
Wu-Tang name generator. I'm like, yes, me and Donald Glover were related by birth, by blood.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
Nick
and I'm
walks
like, I've
around
had that
singing
name
"This
longer
Is
than him.
America."
Yeah, this is America. Anyway, so, but the mob movies, I always loved them, and it wasn't because of my name, because I'm not one of those Italians who's like so proud of his heritage in a very kind of fake way. I wear an Italian flag necklace or anything like that, or enunciate my vowels really thick. I'm not like that. I'm half Italian, but I love these films, like these movies, Godfather, Goodfellas. I love those movies.
I understand your childhood now.
Why?
Your dad used to put you in front of the screen while he took care of business in the basement.
Oh yeah, man. He worked for Waste Management out in Jersey.
Yeah, I need you to watch this movie right here. You
No,
understand the family.
And my dad's 100%.
Dad is gonna go work in
My
the
dad's
basement.
100% Italian,
Don't worry
but like
about the body.
his dad was like a working stiff guy in Connecticut. All right, Connecticut, yeah, that's got a lot of mob influence as well. He ran a roofing company. That's what he did. That's all he did.
A
And
lot of bodies buried in them roofs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
man.
not a good place to bury bodies.
It's a terrible place. Terrible
What's it
place.
smelling here? Woo.
Anyway, so but we want to talk about, because
Is
the
it roofing or
Irishman-
roughing? Like roughing up some people.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Right?
There you go. But The Irishman's coming out.
Yeah.
So we wanted
Yeah.
to do some mob-themed episodes here, because we haven't talked a lot about that. Neil's not the biggest,
I'm not a big mob person. I mean, I've seen these movies.
and you appreciate, like, they're good movies, but they're just not your, like, there's
Yeah,
something rubs you the
forte.
wrong way almost, right?
I just can't relate. Like, I don't relate. I mean, I'm sure most people
You don't
don't
relate to
relate,
Star
but
Wars either.
I don't relate to, like, they're not even anti-heroes. Like, they're just bad people.
Yeah.
So I don't know, those kind of movies where it's just like bad people doing bad things, and then you sympathize with them. Like everybody's going off about Joker, and I'm like, it's the same thing as mob movie. Like these
Yeah.
are bad people who are
Right.
based on real people who committed horrible, heinous acts,
Yeah.
and then but we watch it and we like sympathize with these people, I guess.
Yeah.
Denials of
but they
humanity.
always have something relatable, I think, in the film, in the good ones. So, like Goodfellas, it is about, well, I mean, it's relatable in terms of, like, the guy is, everybody gets their just due at the end of that movie. Let's put it that way. Like, yes, they're bad guys, but
you
there's
can
actually,
relate to, like characters,
outsider.
the characters that are like connected but not really, and not
Yeah.
committing the acts, but they're connected into that group, like the wives or the kids, or like people that come in on kind of like the outskirts and then work their way up. Like I like that of like seeing all that kind of
the
craziness.
moving up, and so it's almost sort of like it could be a corporate ladder. Almost in the made man thing, just understanding more about La Cosa Nostra, like just like the code and the just the whole thing. The mafia is fucking weird, man. It's weird. It's different. It's fascinating, and that's why there's been so much study, so many books about it, so many profiles, and so many movies, because it's this thing right under our nose that was controlling so much. Right. You know what I mean? Involved with the unions and government pressure and even legislation was being pressured by the mafia. Like they owned.
But at the end of the day, it was like the goal was to just make money without really exchanging.
That's exactly what it was. That's it.
Like, it was just a criminal organization.
They were working their asses off, but
to make a lot more money than you would make for the amount of effort you put in.
No regulation. They were unregulated. They weren't unionized. They didn't have, you know what I mean, the government.
Which I
oversight.
understand. I mean, like maybe in the beginning it was like you have people coming to this country and they're like, well, we do this shit back home. Like we just do whatever fuck we want. We like run these businesses and we make money. But now we're coming here and they want us to pay tax and you want us to abide by these bullshit laws. Like fuck that. So we're just gonna keep doing what we do.
That's what it was.
And fuck you.
And was it worth the price? Because it was sort of like they had to worry about being killed and caught and arrested, and it was it's nuts. It's like why that? It's this criminal mentality that a lot of people, they turn to crime because for some reason that almost in their head. Yeah, there's an appeal to it. So everybody probably has a different psychological reason for going for it.
It's all to a survival.
But everybody's got a different psychological reason for it. Some of them are like if you look at Goodfellas, right? Because we're gonna do a Goodfellas versus Godfather.
Yeah, there
episode
it is.
here. Yeah, that's the episode.
We finally, look, we're 7 minutes in, and we're now telling the title. So the title is a Godfather versus Goodfellas, and this is why we're into this.
But
they're both great films. This is very.
This is why we're into the psychological mind of it.
And it's Francis Ford Coppola versus Martin Scorsese, almost. You know, they are both fantastic films, but they're very different at the same time.
They are very different.
They're very different, and so if you look at even like. Tommy, or if you look at Joe Pesci's character in Goodfellas, his reasoning for being a criminal and being the way he was very different from Ray Liotta's, was very different from Robert De Niro's. You know what I mean? Like, they're character studies at the same time. Like, they go in and they show you these different types of people. Yeah. Same thing with Godfather. All those characters are very different. Robert Duvall, James Caan, Al Pacino, what's his face?
The brother?
James Caan.
Like I said, James Caan. But the other, Fredo, but I'm trying to remember the guy's real name.
From Deer Hunter?
Yeah, from Deer Hunter.
That's what I remember him from, actually. I forget that he's in...
Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, Dog Day Afternoon.
He's only in 5 movies, and all of them were nominated for Best Picture.
Wow.
And then he died he was engaged to Meryl Streep, and he died of lung cancer in the late 70s, 1980, 1979.
That's
1980.
crazy.
Yeah, and the only 5 films he was in were all Best Picture nominated.
I didn't know that he was engaged to Meryl Streep or that he died. Wow.
Yeah, and he was in Deer Hunter with Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a fantastic actor. But yeah, the ones I remember are Dog Day Afternoon, Godfather 1 and 2, and Deer Hunter, and there's a 5th one that he was in. Yeah, he's a great actor. But okay, so let's do Godfather versus Goodfellas. So, Diego, which one do you have?
I'm Godfather.
You're Godfather. Neil, which one do you have?
I mean, it's tough because Godfather is so iconic, and I feel like it's more iconic than Goodfellas.
Yeah.
So, but I personally, like, if I was going to choose out of those 2 films, like, which one would I watch? Like, if I had both of those in front of me right now, and which one would I'd probably put on Goodfellas.
Goodfellas? Okay, so you're getting Goodfellas. And I think I'm more Godfather, but we're going to talk about it, and I'll see what I do, because sometimes I just go out.
I didn't for a long time, but now I love Martin Scorsese's style of directing and like this like frenziness that he has with this editing and like storytelling
Energy
and everything
and
is like boom,
fast.
boom, boom. Like it's just so it moves. So although I haven't seen, didn't he do that one Silence or something?
Silence, yeah.
I haven't seen that.
I
So I don't know if that's
that.
a crazy fast movie or
Yeah.
if it's a very slow
Are you trying to
drawn out
remember
movie.
Duvall?
Huh?
But
Duvall?
Not Robert Duvall, the other guy, but he's got a name like that. Like
So Brando, you have
he's a darker skinned guy.
Fredo.
The guy who played Fredo.
Fredo.
No. He's not. He's not Diane Keaton. No, he's not. He's the older brother. He's the one who goes to Vegas and
I
gets
know
with
you're
Mo
talking
Green.
about. Yeah, I know
that
who
guy.
you're talking about.
I always forget his name.
don't
Henry.
know.
Henry. He's
I'll
actually
look
got
it
a name that ends sort of like Duvall, I think. It sucks that I forget his
keep
name
moving
because he was
forward.
great. Anyways, so I want to talk about. Let's talk about the differences between these two films and kind of
It's
like
really the pace. I think pacing
You think
is
that's
very
what it
different.
is?
I think that's the main difference. I don't think The Godfather is a fast-moving film. I
No,
think
it's not.
It's more of like a heavy-handed film. Like every moment it's intended
Dramatic.
to feel a certain way. Yeah, there's like a weight that the audience feels of like the significance of moments. And in this, it's almost like they portray the mob in this as this like almost frenzied, like fast paced. Everybody's doing, well, he's doing blow, him and his wife, and like they're paranoid, and the FBI is after. I mean, that whole aspect where they show the FBI,
Yeah.
like you don't really get a lot of that in Godfather, do you?
Well, the movie starts with
yeah.
the FBI at taking pictures of their cars at the wedding and whatever. Jimmy Kahn comes out and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" He grabs the camera, he smashes it on the ground.
Yeah.
You don't, but you
police
mainly
outside,
get the
yeah.
mafia side of things.
Fuck out of here.
You
Yeah.
mainly get the mafia side of it.
But you don't
in
get that
Godfather.
like the deals when wheeling and dealing behind the scenes and the ratting people out and
No, Godfather is really more.
Yes, you do.
It's
Godfather?
yeah, you get some of that, but it's really more
I haven't
of
seen it
a,
in a long time.
a family
You gotta watch
story.
it. That's
it's
the
a
thing.
family
It's
story.
a family
Yeah.
story that
Yeah.
just happens to be in the world of the mafia.
Correct.
That's what I love about it. It actually it humanizes it. Now that's not the best way to describe it, but it basically shows.
These
these are people.
These
Like,
are
these
people
are
and how they
people.
function.
Yeah, and this is and
Well, you
and
also had people that were like the dad is in it.
Vito Corleone,
Marlon
Marlon
Brando.
Marlon Brando.
And then you have the kids that are raised in this environment that essentially become members of this criminal organization. And it's like you don't really have that much of a choice.
Yeah.
If you chose that you were like, I don't want to be a fucking criminal.
Right.
And then you left, like, who knows what would happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of see that, which I thought was very interesting.
But it's also interesting because the main character really of Godfather is Michael Corleone, Al Pacino, right? And because it's really the story about here's this guy just back from the army, has this beautiful wife, a
Secession.
non-Italian, huh?
It's like Secession.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's back and he's not in the business, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And his dad doesn't want that for him, and he's got no interest in that. And it's this whole conversation at the wedding. He's sitting there in his uniform, and he's talking with Diane Keaton, who's his girlfriend. He's brought there. She knows nothing about the life, and she's asking him a question. He's answering things, and he's telling her about. He goes, "That's my family," and he goes. He talks about. There's that guy there who's sort of like a Frankie Avalon or whatever, like a singer, actor kind of guy. And she goes, "Oh, my God, I didn't know your family knew him." He goes, "Oh, yeah, my father helped him out, got him into the movies out there." And she goes, "How did he do that?" He says he helped him. He tells a story, and she goes, "Well, how this guy didn't want to sign the contract. My dad got him to sign it." She goes, how did he do that? Well, he made him an offer he couldn't refuse. She goes, "What does that mean?" He goes, "Luca Brasi put a gun to his head, and my father told him either his signature would be on that contract or his brains."
Yes.
And she's looking at him, and he goes, "That's my family, Joyce. That's not me." And it's like, oh, interesting. So that's not him. So we're good. We're like, this is our in into this world.
Not yet.
I know, and that's what's crazy. This is our be alive. That whole movie, so much fucking happens in that movie. It feels like 3 movies in one. And you go, wow. So okay, that's our in into this world. It's this woman who's an outsider, and it's this guy who's in the family, but not really in the family. And he identifies like us. He's like, I'm not interested in the world of crime. I don't like it. I don't want anything to do with it. And my family's okay with that.
Yeah.
They don't want that life of crime for me.
Until something happens and he has to do it.
Yes, so then these guys come in with drugs, and they Marlon Brando, who's like the head guy of the 5 families, like he's like really the guy who everybody looks to, and he says, "I don't want to do it." So if he says no, then they're not going to do it. Everybody has to have a sort of unison.
Everybody uses his respect.
Yeah, and so the Tattaglia family comes in, and they're just like, no. He's like, no, we're not going to do it. So then they make a fucking hit on him.
Yeah.
And they make a hit, which is when he's buying the fruit or whatever, and Fredo's there and drops the gun, and they shoot Marlon Brando. So then what happens is Al Pacino ends up being the one to go in and kill the cop and the guy who's running this, and that's his turning point. That's
The whole
when,
hospital scene.
Well, there's the hospital scene, which is great, where he saves his father's life because nobody's there. The cops have been paid off. Everybody's gone, and he's sneaking his fucking father's little gurney
That's
through the
awesome.
fucking hospital in the dark. And the way that's shot,
It's
and
incredible.
and the suspense of that, and the murderers are trying to find him and going through the hospital, and then the cops come, and the cops are dirty, and they're like, "What?" And he's having to stand his ground. It's crazy, all of that, and he saves his father's life, and then he decides to kill them. But that's the point of no return. He kills a cop, and he kills another guy. First murder outside of war.
Yeah.
And you go, That's the point where he changes, and his look is so cold-blooded when he does it. It's so matter of fact. It's so.
I mean, it's really self-defense in those moments.
No, it's not.
No, it's
when
really
he
not,
kills
no.
him.
In a way, like
No,
it's a
finishes them.
delayed self-defense.
He-
Like
no,
you
no.
guys would have
He finishes
killed
them.
me, but I'm killing you like a week
He finishes
later.
them.
Sure.
So it's meditated.
There's
Or
justification in that.
premeditated.
It's justification.
It's a cognitive
in it, but
thing.
that's the
It's
excuse.
justified,
That's
yeah.
the excuse. A
Precog.
lot of the guys that they don't. Mafia has a code. They don't kill the women. They don't kill children. They don't. They try
the
to-
beginning.
Try not to do much with civilians.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
And then later it just became.
But that
free
whole
for
thing
all.
where he shoots, that whole plan where he's got the gun is strapped to the toilet in the in the bathroom or whatever, and he has to go get it while he's in a meeting with them, and he goes and he comes back with the gun, kills them. That whole thing is the point where he switches, and Al Pacino's such a good actor, and he told her, Diane Keaton, I'm not going to get into that life. This is not going to be me. And what he does, he slowly devolves into this, and by the time his father wakes up from the coma or whatever, they tell him that no, it was Michael is the one that handled this for us, and he's emotional and kind of cries about it, but then he's like, all right, let's bring Michael into the business. That's where it's at now. Like, even he doesn't totally, he allows that to happen. And Jimmy Kahn gets massacred. And it's just, there's so much fucking insanity in this movie. There's so much going on. When you watch it, it's an epic in one movie about one family in the 1950s mafia. Yeah. And I think it's beautifully handled. The music, the score is incredible.
Yeah, the music is fantastic.
I got you that little
That's
music
like-
box of The Godfather. You were like, why
Yeah.
didn't you get me Harry Potter or something? I'm like, because
I also bought the Harry Potter one.
I got you a music box you couldn't refuse, though.
That's true.
So
It's great. It's like it's a theme. Like I could just listen to that over and over and over and over again.
It's
Like
beautiful.
it's such a
It's
fantastic
just beautifully
theme.
done.
Yeah.
It's an
Beautiful.
art piece about a family, and
Yeah.
this is why it won so many awards.
Yeah.
It was literally almost a perfect film.
There's something about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Luca Brasi, that big ass fucking guy trying to practice his speech on this day of your father's wedding, like that whole thing where he can't get it, and
Well,
they're like
it became,
just looking at.
you know when a movie is like a
Every
masterpiece
corner
when it
there was a
becomes a
story.
parody.
Yes, they've
You
parodied
know?
it. They quoted it a million times.
It's
Like
been quoted
Luca,
and everything.
It's
Like
a
the
Sicilian.
references go back to
It's a
this movie.
Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes. Like that's
Yeah.
from that, and
Yeah.
And the great thing about that film is every corner of the movie there was a story. Everybody had like almost every character, like you just said, practicing speech. Almost every character had a full story.
Right.
Had
Yeah.
a full background.
Clemenza.
Clemenza, yeah, like, and you felt
leave the gun, take the cannoli.
into everything. You fell into the world.
Yeah.
It was just so properly done. And now, Goodfellas was the same way. Goodfellas is almost the perfect gangster film.
yeah.
Yeah, Goodfellas is.
It's an incredible film.
It feels more like a gangster film, and the other one feels like a mafia film. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It
but
does.
they're
It
both
makes
mafia.
sense.
Yeah, they're
The
both
Mafia's-
mafia, but like one feels like Goodfellas feels like
one
a
felt
gangster
more
film.
modern, like closer to the time period that it took
Yes,
place.
because Godfather was
so
made in 1972, but it took place in the 50s.
Yeah. So
Or
Godfather is
40s.
made about the
40s.
family, and Goodfellas is made about the dealings.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
but
and
but
there's
also
a difference.
There's
a lot
like the
darker.
aspect of
Yeah.
like it follows. There's like I feel like there's a lot more going on in Goodfellas than there is in The Godfather.
No way.
I feel the opposite.
He's
No
able
way.
to like compress so many more storylines and so many
way.
many different
Of
ideas
dealings.
are being
Of the dealings,
of
though.
aspects
Dealings,
of
yeah.
being in this organization. Like I feel like in how it was
Yes.
in modern
That's
times or
different.
modern times when this movie came out. And he was showing a lot of I'm assuming
1990.
a lot of this movie was like kind of loosely based on actual court trials that went on with people that were arrested and
Yeah.
I think most mafia movies at least are inspired by true
Inspired
events,
by,
including
yeah.
Analyze This.
Like outside of Ray Liotta's relationship, the rest didn't really have a huge storyline.
I mean there's
no, I think it had a great story, but yeah,
No,
I
no.
thought it was more intimate than Godfather.
I felt like
felt
they-
like a fully like a lot because it goes through several years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
this movie
so
it
does
doesn't show like the
Goodfellas,
people
but-
at the like it does obviously show the people at the top, but it doesn't focus on them at all.
No.
like they're like just these unknown people that are making calls and you don't know what's going to happen, and there's like
Yeah.
all this confusion, and then you have the guys that are like the next level and then the lower level,
Yeah.
and you have
Yeah.
Ray Liotta starting at nothing, working his way up to like
Correct.
a made man, and like
Yeah.
that in itself is like you just don't get that. Like in Godfather, he's his son,
Yeah.
and he doesn't want
Yeah.
to do it, and then he ends up doing it because
Yeah.
he has to, and then he ends up taking over. Like
Right.
it's a completely different take
Right.
on this whole mafia organization
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Well, I think
And I like that. To me, that's like more interesting because then he meets this woman who doesn't know about it, but then eventually she gets into it, and then she gets hooked on drugs, and he's
Right.
hooked on drugs, and they're running. They're paranoid as shit.
It's darker.
That like sense of paranoia that he's
Darker.
able to create, where they're like, you know, the silent helicopters are chasing him, or she's driving around like
Yeah.
looking at the sky, and there's
Yeah.
a helicopter
Yeah.
following your car, and they're just like fucking going crazy.
Hey, Joe
They're going
Pesci, you
fucking
can't look
crazy.
away. Joe Pesci,
Joe
is
Pesci's
that
performance,
good.
he's like, you're a funny guy. He's like, and then everybody's laughing. He's like, what do you mean
It's
funny?
the way he's looking at him at that moment, though.
what-
Before he says that,
He's like,
he
what do you mean funny?
What do you mean?
everybody
What do
else
you
is
mean
laughing.
funny?
That scene
look
though,
funny
That fucked me up
You
watching
watch
that the
that
first time.
scene,
Like,
just watch Joe Pesci only in that scene. So everybody else is laughing like you would when everybody's laughing. When he says it offhand, you're a funny guy, and you look at Joe Pesci, he's looking at him.
It's so
from the
crazy.
side, and everybody else is he's letting down on the laugh a little bit, and he just starts to go. You can tell he's honed in on what he just said, and it's so beautifully
you
played.
said it looked funny.
Yeah.
but what do you-
Holy shit,
yeah.
is it good? I love that scene. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I'll watch Goodfellas for Joe Pesci's performance.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I love the movie. I love the story and everything like that. I really do love that movie. But I'll watch Godfather for the story more. I'll watch Goodfellas for Joe Pesci's performance.
well, Joe Pesci and De Niro. There's two moments in that movie that always stuck with me. It was
De
that
Niro's good,
scene,
yeah.
but the scene with De Niro when
The
he finds
Half-Blood.
out.
The Half-Blood.
Yeah, when De Niro finds out that Joe Pesci has been
Right.
been
Joe
axed or
Pesci.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like at the telephone
he's
booth,
fi-
and he just
he's
like
just freaking out,
smashes
yeah.
the like that always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Like that reaction when he was with Ray Liotta, I guess, is in that
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
And Ray Liotta's like performance and his wife, like at the end when they're like hyped up on dope and they're just like paranoid as fuck. And there's that whole like thing with them being chased by the FBI or whatever.
Well-
like those three things always stand out to me. Like,
Yeah.
and then we are just recently talking about this. Like, there was all this about the opening shot, that opening shot where they go into the restaurant and
Oh,
it's
they
like
fake
that track
they
shot.
fake the maze. They come back
It's
to the same
literally- it's
spot,
one
but it
shot,
looks
it's one
different.
shot.
It's one shot, but they like basically backtrack to the same
Yeah.
space
Kitchen, yeah.
somehow, and
Yeah.
but it looks like you're going in a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like
They,
it's like
they
a
literally
circle
do
or
it. They
whatever.
do a
They
loop,
bring
but,
you-
but
they
it looks
bring-
like they're not.
Yeah, they bring
go to
you
the same
into
spot.
the kitchen and they do a loop, but it looks like he's still continuing on a straight path around to
Yeah.
the studio. But they like bring him in the same door and they take him out the same door to go out the to go down the same hallway.
Yeah.
you know. So it's
And these days,
phenomenal.
everybody
It's
does a long-
Aspects of the film, the way it's shot, are just like incredible. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But then you also have The Godfather, where you have the story of, you know, I just
Which
forgot.
one? Jimmy Kahn,
no.
the sister,
Not,
the
I was gonna say Joe Pesci,
brother-in-law.
but Robert De Niro.
that's Godfather 2. Okay.
Yeah, him coming in.
Which I think was unfair. to,
No,
like,
I'm talking
throw
about I'm talking about the whole thing of him coming into his family in the beginning, in the first film.
Talking about Al Pacino.
Yeah. Oh, what the fuck am I
Okay.
saying? Yeah,
You're
Al
fine.
Pacino.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
fuck-
yeah.
damn. I got my names all fucked up. See,
Yeah.
this is
Al
why
Pacino.
Godfather's so good.
All guineas look the
Attica,
same to you.
Attica, Attica.
Yeah,
Attica.
That's Dog
Yeah.
Afternoon. Also, all guineas look the same to Diego, apparently.
Okay.
My people
Guinea a
have
slur?
suffered long.
yeah, you don't want to go.
Wop.
Are you allowed to
Guinea.
say Guinea?
I could say them all.
Oh,
It feels so good to be able to say something.
Say racial slurs against your own people. That's how you own it, man. That's how you own it.
That's how you do it.
No, so you have Al Pacino coming into his family,
Yeah.
and understanding his family, and not trying to be into it. And then you have the second film where he literally becomes like
He's just
like his
monster.
father. He's a
no,
monster.
he's worse than his
He's
monster.
worse. No, his father's a good guy,
yeah,
really.
Yeah, his
His
father
father
was
comes off as a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
his
the
father
first
made
film.
deals.
That's
Yeah.
why I didn't like the second one as much as the first one. I think it was like his performance was too dark.
No, but it was
Or his character
perfectly
was too dark.
It was
juxtaposed
perfect.
with younger
Doesn't he
Vito
kill
Corleone.
his brother? He kills
Yes.
Fredo.
He's so fucking mad.
He like pimp slaps Diane Keaton like across
yeah,
the
because she
room.
aborted
And I
her
was like,
baby. Because she aborted her
well,
baby.
I mean, it was fucking horrible, but I was like, God damn, he like really slapped the shit out of that chick.
yeah.
But it's
I wonder how real that
it's
scene is.
juxtaposed. It's juxtaposed with a younger Vito Corleone coming up, so it's showing the difference between the two characters, and that's
Yeah.
what's so great. Is Vito was like,
Yeah.
why did he do it? He did it to help his people, to help these Italian immigrants in his
Who are
town,
being, like, yeah.
who were being abused
Suppressed
and
or
taken
oppressed.
advantage of by one of their own,
Yeah.
which is that other guy that was walking around like and demanding payment, and he's like, come to me and I'll do me a favor, and I'll do you a favor and then you owe me later and I'll get something. But it's never, he's like, maybe that day will never come, but I'm going to ask you for something and you help me out.
Right.
And that's all I'm asking from you. You don't have to pay me anything. He was like, came across as like, it came from an earnest place.
Right.
And he never wanted to get into drugs in the first film. But Michael Corleone was totally different. He was a madman.
The environment changed.
Well, that's
He
the
was
whole
a
thing.
madman.
This is what I was saying before
Yeah.
Nick took over.
Well, because you were fucking Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. Like, you
But
couldn't
then you
get your
fixed
shit
that.
straight.
You fixed that.
Yeah, but we didn't fix you. All right, go ahead.
Call your wife and say, "Sorry, you don't have a father."
And she'd be like, who is this? Go ahead.
No. So and then the last film where it's totally his demolish.
Yeah.
Like his life, like what he did not want to do became what he did, and then it just destroyed him.
Yeah.
It's just the story.
I haven't seen the third one.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
really-
I mean,
and then the ending.
interesting
of it,
to see the bookend. Honestly,
it's just amazing. It's just so amazing.
he's an old man in it. They aged
Yeah.
him like they
They literally
He's an old
aged
guy.
him.
I just remember, growing up and everyone around me was like, "Oh, the third one's garbage. Don't ever watch it." And then people say that shit.
Yeah.
That's actually
It-
the worst
no, it
thing
wasn't.
that someone can say is like a critique on a film. Don't watch it. It was garbage. That tells me
Ooh,
nothing.
yes.
That doesn't
Even
help
if
me
it
at
is
all.
that
It
to
wasn't
you,
even-
tell me more.
It won awards
like,
also,
lazy.
didn't it?
Yeah, it got nominated.
It got nominated.
Best Picture. And
So
all that.
it's like he goes from being a good guy
Yeah.
to a really dark character, then trying to come out of that, to
feeling
become a
like
good
he's
guy.
suffering all
feeling
his
like
sins.
he's suffering, and
Yeah.
he
So he
just
feels like he
can't
needs to
get
redeem
out of
himself.
it. He can't like
That's
nobody
that line.
lets-
That's that famous line.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
that famous line. He's like, I keep trying to get out, and they just keep pulling me back in. Like that line.
In the-
is from
when
the
he
third
said in the
film.
kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, in the
Oh.
kitchen, exactly.
Yeah, and he has a heart stroke or something like that.
Yeah. But anyways, he hasn't said so. You should really see the movie.
You
Like,
have to
honestly,
finish it
you should
to
bookend
yeah.
it. I'd actually watch all three of them again just because you haven't seen the first one in a while.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the first one is actually where he goes nuts. The second one is where it shows him in his full insanity, but it's the first one where
You talking about The Call?
It ends. Well, no, earlier on in the first one. So first off, he kills a guy, gets into the business, whatever, and then he moves Tom out. He goes, Tom, you're out. He takes Robert Duvall, who's their brother. He's like their adopted brother or whatever, and he's not Italian, but he's the consigliere, and he takes him and goes, "You're not in it. We need a wartime consigliere, and you're not him. You're not it. So we're taking you out." And he just starts making these moves cold. He's cold.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when Marlon Brando dies, and Vito tells him, "Listen, when you at my funeral, the day I die or whatever." Somebody's going to approach you to set up a meeting of the families. At that meeting, you will be assassinated. And he goes, the person who comes to you to put together the meeting, that's the traitor. That's the guy.
Yeah.
So he's like, he tells them that's what's going to happen. They're going to try and assassinate you at the meeting, and that's what's going to happen. So at the fucking funeral, Abe Vigoda, the old dude, who's been a long time member of the family, loving it, loves them and so close to them. He tells them, oh, they want to have a meeting with you or whatever. He goes, oh, okay. So during the fucking funeral, he has every single other head of the families assassinated. And in that scene that goes between the funeral and the priest doing the whole thing and everybody getting murdered while they're getting there, walking through the revolving door and through this. And like, it's so good. And it just shows his face staring at his father's coffin, knowing what's going on at that moment, having executed this perfectly as like only a ruthless mafioso Don would.
Yeah.
And that's where it's cemented. That's the point where he just goes to fucking town with a goddamn battle axe.
Yeah.
And then it ends with his wife talking to him and then walking out, and then them
He gets the call.
Kissing his ring, Don Corleone. And the door closes, and you see him just kind of like holding out his ring, and you're like, oh, and the movie ends.
Yeah, that was
Crazy.
just amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And that's the
But
kind of
it's-
stuff
it-
that's not in Goodfellas.
I will say, so that's for
That
me, this is the
epicness.
difference.
The little moments.
You say, you guys, it is epic. I will agree with that, but it's there is an aspect of Godfather to me that's Hollywood, and Goodfellas feels real.
More violent.
Not it's definitely more violent, but Goodfellas feels like almost like a documentary.
Yeah.
And
It is.
The Godfather.
It's a real story.
It's
But I'm like Godfather feels. I won't say Disney, but there's like Hollywood, like embellishment, like over exaggeration, like fanciful
The glamour.
in a way. Like there's a fancifulness to it that doesn't make it feel grounded.
there, though?
To me, that's the main difference.
Cutting
I
off the
think that's
horse's
why I
head,
lean-
assassinating Jimmy Kahn when he can't.
all of
comes
those things
through.
I'm sure are real, but the way they're portrayed, it feels like a Hollywood movie that's like extreme. That's like embellishment and like over dramatized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and the music and everything like takes you out of reality and puts you into a book, like a novel, like a
Which it was a book
fantastic
first, or a
fictional.
Pluto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and I love it. I love that. I mean, I love Lord of the Rings. I love Harry Potter. Like, I love things that aren't real, but that's what it feels like to me. Something that's
Okay.
not
Less
grounded in
grounded.
reality. And Goodfellas feel like Scorsese does this thing where like he can take things that feel fanciful, but also make them feel grounded.
Yeah.
With like the actors that he gets in his films, and I feel like that's I know there was other one I think I wanted to say.
Okay,
So,
because I wanted to say something about that. Can I say
Oh,
something
yeah,
real
go
quick?
for it, go on.
I think you may only be saying that because it takes place in the 40s and the 50s, and the other one took place in present day, 1990. Like, so it
Yeah.
feels closer to reality because you
Maybe.
understand that world more.
yeah,
That's what
it
I
could be
think.
that.
Yeah.
It could be that.
Yeah, but go ahead.
The other thing was just
Basically, he's saying you're wrong. So
well, no,
Go
so this scene. This guy, he's always saying.
I
that.
didn't. He
So this scene-
he's stoking the fire. I didn't say shit.
So this
gonna
scene
start the fire.
with Joe Pesci, where he's like, "What do you mean, a funny guy?" No one in that scene knew that Joe Pesci was going to react that way. Scorsese specifically didn't tell anybody that was how Joe Pesci was going to handle it. And so everybody's reaction where they become uncomfortable
Yeah.
as he's like stops laughing and he starts questioning
Yeah.
what he meant. That's genuine. Like
Yeah.
Ray Liotta, everybody, they didn't know if he was like Joe Pesci being
That's why it feels real.
like a real
Yeah.
guy, like the actor
Joe Pesci
getting
or Tom-
upset or
yeah,
something
or
or whatever.
whatever,
They were
yeah.
like, should we cut? Like, is this guy about to fucking lose it? Like, are we going to get fired? Like, what the fuck? Like, so he wanted this genuine reaction instead of having them all, to act
Yeah.
like they're reacting
Yeah.
to his thing or whatever. Like, he didn't tell anybody that was, to me, I love that shit.
Yeah,
I
it's-
fucking love it when directors do that, where they like trick you. Like when what's his name dropped,
Hans
or
Gruber,
whatever.
yeah, Alan
He's
Rickman.
like, all right, I'm going to drop you on 3. And he's like, yeah, I got it. We're good with it. On 3, right? He's like, yeah, on 3. And then it's like 1, drop. You see his face in slow motion, just
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like if the machine broke or something. They dropped him like, 40 feet or 60 feet
It
or
was a
something. It
decent
was like
amount,
pretty
yeah.
high. It was
Yeah.
pretty fucking high.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's
I love
awesome.
that shit.
No,
I love
it really it is
No,
great,
there's-
and that scene is probably the best scene in that film, just because it's so beautifully done.
Yeah.
and it feels so authentic, and you're actually fucking fearful because this guy's a psycho.
Well, it really
Even though this is his
cements
best
his
friend.
like the level of
Unpredictability.
insanity
Yeah.
and his unpredictability. And
Although it is
you know.
he's faking him out. Like that is a joke,
Yeah.
but he doesn't play it like
But
a
then
joke.
he beats
so
him to
you're-
death later, right? Or is that a
No,
different
he
guy?
doesn't. No. That's a different guy. No, they're like best friends. They don't ever exact violence on
Did
each
he
other.
beat the guy to death in the first one?
No,
Because
Wait,
there's a
what do you
scene
mean
where they're in the
the first one?
restaurant. I mean, not the first one. Earlier in the film, is that scene before where he like has the bat and they just start whacking?
yeah, that's earlier. That's
yeah,
earlier.
they
So they set
established
that
his,
up, and
no,
then
no,
they
no,
have.
it might be. No, that's earlier. It's right
No, it's
before.
earlier.
right before.
Okay, so you have
It's right
that
before,
scene,
yeah.
and then you have this scene where he's like, "What do
So
you
you
mean,
know
what do you
he's
mean,
a
funny
psycho.
guy?
Yeah, you know
so
he's a
you
psycho.
They established that.
Great
yeah,
setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a setup.
Whereas
yeah.
in Casino, which I love about Casino,
Wait,
is you
I'm
see
sorry.
it right.
What do you mean casino?
I'm talking about Casino. I'm making a point about Casino real quick. I'm just saying something. Can I finish my fucking sentence and you'll know what I'm
and
saying?
Corky Romano.
No, but what I was about to say is he
And
plays a very
that great
similar
And
character.
Oscar with Sylvester Stallone.
I'm making
Oh,
a
Oscar
point.
is good. I like Oscar.
Oh my god, that's a great movie. I actually love that movie.
I do like that movie.
Okay, well, I was about to say in Casino, where he plays a very similar character, it's also Scorsese movie with De Niro and Tommy Joe Pesci, but Joe Pesci plays a very similar
Stone,
character in that. Yeah, and in that one, in the very first scene, he stabs that guy in the
Yeah.
restaurant with a pen right from the get-go, so you a whole time know.
Maybe I'm mixing those two. I haven't seen.
That's what I'm thinking.
I
I'm
might
thinking-
be mixing
and
them
he
up.
gets
like,
beaten to shit with a baseball bat at the end.
He does.
Yes. So
I do remember that, and it's like
Yeah.
him and his brother. or
Brother,
something.
yeah, and then they're thrown
it's
half
awful.
alive,
But he gets to see
barely
his
alive.
brother first.
Yes.
happen to him, and then they do it to him.
So I'm just saying it's a different way to do it, but it was similar in terms of that. But yes, you knew he was a psycho by that point in Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Now the other scene that I love in that film, it's fucked up, but because it makes me feel so uneasy, and so like that's the thing about the mafia, like as it's depicted in film, is there's a lot of like betrayal and not even betrayal, but sort of like if they consider that you're disloyal, they will end you even if they're your best
But
friends.
they won't tell you.
They won't.
That's
And
the
that's
thing
what
that's
happens
fucked
when he
up.
thinks he's going to be a made man in Goodfellas, and they take him into that. His mom kind of like helps him with the suit or whatever, and she's so proud of her little boy.
And they shoot
then
him
his
in the
two
back of the
friends,
head, right, or
his
something?
two friends come and they get him, and he drives, and he's all excited. He's going to be a made man. This is what he's been working towards his whole life. It's so great. He's got his suit perfectly impeccably pressed, and he goes in, he makes jokes with them on the way in, he opens the door, goes in, there's nobody there, and he just goes, oh shit, and boom, they pop in the back of the head, because he realizes in that moment, half a second before he dies, fuck, this
they
is a
set him
hit,
up.
this
Yeah.
is a hit, is a setup. So they gave him the thing he wanted the most, and they gave him the thing he wanted the least.
Yeah.
And in half a second, he realized the difference between the. It's a great fucking scene, the way it's played out and the way you don't expect it.
Yeah.
You don't actually expect it. I love it. I love that scene.
Yeah.
Equally in Godfather, a couple scenes I love. I love the scene where James Caan. Okay, so Talia Shire
For people that don't know, that's the dad from the Will Ferrell film Elf.
Yes, for you.
Or the rollerblade.
For people who don't know who this
Or
is,
Rollerball.
he was
Rollerball, that's right.
he was also in Alien Nation, which is a fantastic
and
movie,
Brian
actually.
Song and a bunch of shit and Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Was he in Eraser?
Yeah, he was the shitty guy that was like his friend that ended up betraying
plays
him.
good guys and
corrupt.
bad guys.
He does great.
Yeah.
His son is Scott Conn from the Ocean's 11 movies and Varsity
Are
Blues.
you serious?
That's Scott Conn is his son.
I always saw that name and I was like, name sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
And I never made the connection. That's
Look at their
funny.
faces, yeah, and they were
They
both,
do look similar, yeah.
yeah.
So
So
Varsity Blues.
that's what I said, Varsity Blues. That's right. But there's this scene where Talia Shire, who's Francis Ford Coppola's sister, plays the sister, and it's her wedding in the beginning of Godfather. She plays the sister or the only daughter of Vito Corleone, and her husband is beating the shit out of her. He's a piece of shit. And James
I
Caan
vaguely remember that. Yeah.
is and James Caan, who's the oldest son, or I don't actually know if he's the oldest son, but he's the second oldest son. He might be the oldest son. He's Sonny Corleone. He's a hothead, and he loses his fucking mind that this guy's beating his sister. So it's like, don't beat that guy's sister. Like, beat somebody else's sister. Don't marry that one who's basically next in line to inherit this family, the biggest mafia family. And don't go beat. He's insane, right?
Yeah.
So he does it, and then James Caan shows up and beats the shit out of him. And if you watch it, action in films is always fake, right? If you see somebody getting punched in real life and you see them getting punched in a movie, they're like
It's choreographed.
they're completely different.
Generally, yeah.
The hit
Sometimes
you hear,
they actually get hit. And
when
they
you
keep it
hear
in the film,
when
but-
somebody gets punched in real life, you don't
Sound
really
effect.
even hear the sound other than like a skin whack kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's very different. Even the sounds you hear, the sound effects they add are very movie like.
Unless you
Yeah.
get slapped.
Yeah.
Slaps, you can hear.
Yeah, so when he's beating the shit out of him and he takes the fucking garbage can lid, he's smacking him with it and he's throwing the fucking thing, he's chasing him with the
Yeah.
thing. It's so rugged and real.
Yeah.
It's so beautifully done. He's chasing him down the street and he's beating the shit out of him. He's fucking smudging his face. He's just like so like trying not to kill him, but trying to hurt him at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a great scene. And then later on,
That's when you get the
it's the
sock with the
betrayal again.
quarters and you just
That's right.
whoop his ass.
But it's that betrayal again later on where he beats the shit out of her
Yeah.
in order to oh my god, it's so crazy. He beats the shit out of her again, knowing that Sonny's gonna show up and come over to fuck him up. But
Yeah.
he does that because on his way he ends up getting shot up at the toll booth kind of thing. Like those guys come out and they shoot him up with Tommy guns.
Yeah.
He did that, and later on Michael confronts him and goes, "You sold out my brother and you had Sonny killed.
Yeah.
Like, don't fucking lie to me." He's like, I will spare your life. You're my sister's husband. I will spare your life if you just tell me the truth. And he breaks down crying. He's like, "Oh, I did it." He's like, all right. And then he goes, "I'm really sorry." He goes, "Get out of my face." And he goes to the car. He thinks, "Oh, I'm going away and I can't ever come back into town or whatever." And the guy fucking takes the wire on his fucking throat in the car and
Shoves
I mean, that's the kind of thing Michael was fucking like, he would break his own word. But
Yeah.
Vito wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But Michael didn't care. He got him to admit it, and then he had him killed.
Yeah.
And then
That's
right
the
after
thing
that,
about-
right around there,
that's-
it's like Abe Vigoda going, is there anything? He goes to Robert Duvall. It's the old dude that sold him out that asked for the meeting. He's like, he goes, "It was never personal. It was only business." And he goes to Robert Duvall. He's like, "Tom, can you do anything?" He goes, "Sorry, it's out of my hands. Like, you're going to be, like, you betrayed the family."
Yeah.
There's scenes like that, or the leave the gun, take the cannoli, where the guy shoots him in the back of the head while Clemenza is taking a piss, and it's a wide shot of him just putting the gun to the guy's head while Clemenza is taking it. It's so like
It's like almost every scene in
Beautiful.
Godfather, it's its own
Beautiful.
story in
Yeah.
itself, and that's what made
Beautifully
it. Like,
composed.
I think it had
Yeah.
better cinematography than Godfather.
Goodfellas. Than Goodfellas.
Than Goodfellas, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Goodfellas
Yeah,
is
Good-
like frantic.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Goodfellas
That's why I
is-
like
it's
that.
visceral.
But
Fast
You feel it
paced.
more. You're
Yeah,
emotional.
fast paced.
I would
it's
definitely agree
humorous.
that Godfather is more epic than Goodfellas.
Godfather is
Yeah.
more of like a romance story. It's
It's a romanticizing, which is what you were
yeah,
gonna say.
which Goodfellas is more of a.
It's like gritty. Like
it's more of a
document-
documentary
Because he's
Yeah.
narrating.
And it
He's like
really is.
narrating
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
events. He's like telling you his story. He's
Exactly.
talking to the audience. He's like breaking the fourth
Yeah,
wall.
So
Which
it's more
Casino does as well.
realistic, which is more realistic.
Casino does that as well.
does that,
but
yeah.
they're
Oh,
each
Casino,
allowed to
yeah.
narrate
Yeah.
it.
So it's more
Joe Pesci
realistic.
narrates his scenes, and it's great. They have different narrators.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So
They're both
I don't
great
know. They're
films.
both
They're both
great
great.
films.
They are
Yeah.
different, and I do agree with you. Like Goodfellas is more visceral, it's more emotional, it brings you in more, you feel it more in that way.
it's
Yeah.
humorous.
and
It's
there is a more
fast-paced, it's fun.
romanticizing.
It's more. I think it's more rewatchable than Godfather.
Oh, not to me.
Let me tell you why. It's because it's
Equal.
more of an entertaining film.
Yeah.
And Godfather is more.
One's a
you
movie,
sit
one's a
th-
film. Maybe.
It's more of an entertaining movie, and Godfather's more of a sit down and really get into film, a more classical.
The world.
It's because it's fast paced, because it's fun. It's more rewatchable.
Yeah, it's probably
where
more
Godfather's
entertaining.
not that.
In a way, like-
Godfather's more like I'm gonna read this novel because I love this novel, and I'm gonna sit there and just enjoy the story.
Yeah.
Where.
But aren't there
Where,
scenes
where
in-
Goodfellas is a great, incredible fucking comic that you read.
Okay.
Yeah, like Goodfellas, like aren't there scenes where at the end where Ray Liotta like looks at the audience and he's like talking to the audience, and he ends up in
He's in witness protection.
Witness protection.
He's outside his house
So,
getting the newspaper. or
Maybe
whatever.
this is why I like it more, because I always love My Blue Heaven. So in
Oh
my
my
mind, like there's
God.
some weird connection where like
Rick
that,
Moranis
like
and
this
Steve
movie
Martin.
ends and then My Blue Heaven begins. Like that's
It's so
the
funny because I
connection.
think that whenever I see that scene at the end with the witness
That's what I
protection,
think,
I
yeah.
think My Blue Heaven.
So I'm like, I like love the ending because I'm like, it makes me think
which
of
is
Steve Martin and Rick Moranis.
Yeah, Steve Martin's the
Which is
mafioso guy.
nonsensical, but you know.
But they're also around the same time period, so the look of the film has like a similar look, and that's really funny you say that because I've always thought
But that might be why I like it so much. I don't know. That could be it. Well,
They're
that and
so-
also
they couldn't be any more different. Those
This
two
was like
films.
the Joe Pesci movie, right? This is like the movie that
What did Raging
cemented
Bull?
that. You know, that type of Joe. Like everyone goes back to Joe when they think of Joe Pesci. They're like, Goodfellas.
Oh, when
know,
you think of
or
him as an
Casino.
unhinged guy, yeah,
Yeah,
because he
or
done
just like
Raging
performance,
Bull.
like hit like
Raging
this
Bull, he
incredible
was great. I think
performance.
he won for Raging Bull or whatever. He plays
Yeah,
the
he
brother,
did.
and he's great as the brother in
I
Raging
need to
Bull.
watch that again. I haven't seen that in
Great film.
He's
forever.
really good in it, and he's got a little bit of that stuff going on. That's also Scorsese.
Yeah.
And De Niro. Raging Bull is great. Goodfellas, Casino, obviously the Home Alone movies, JFK. So I
Yeah,
just
he was
think,
great in JFK,
Yeah, I think
but-
there's a lot
Yeah.
because also Home Alone came out the same year as Goodfellas.
That's so crazy.
That's nuts.
He probably did that. I mean,
The first
that
one?
had to have been
Yeah.
like
What?
he
1990.
thought about it. He's like, I'm gonna play this horrible fucking garbage person,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna play. I mean, I'm, a criminal, but at least
Yeah.
it's like a family-friendly, fun
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
You know? But I'm sure nobody. I don't think anyone thought Home Alone was gonna become the insane.
And then he met in the middle with
nobody
my
it
cousin
became.
Vinny.
There's no way.
Yeah, and then My Cousin Vinny, which I love that
yeah.
movie so much.
Yeah.
He did seem like he didn't want to get typecasted into the Scorsese character.
That's the
Brilliant.
thing.
He's very
He plays
smart
that
about that.
so well.
and Lethal
That
Weapon.
is so Lethal
Lethal
Weapon.
Weapon 2, 3, 4.
yeah,
rather.
Froggy.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Well,
Well,
He
that's
plays
right,
it
yeah.
so well. He can fucking be typecasted because he looks like that fun, humorous guy who
Yeah.
can be fucking.
He's
psycho.
done probably a lot more comedies than he has
So,
dramas. I
yeah.
would say.
I don't think so.
No?
Gone Fishing he did. I want to say, I mean, if you consider Lethal Weapon comedy, I guess, because he played a comedic character. He did 3 of those.
It's like a weird action comedy.
Yeah, I think he's done both probably. But also but that's why I'm excited about The Irishman is the return of Joe Pesci. That guy is
Yeah.
brilliant, and he apparently knocks it out of the park in this movie, and he's finally the boss.
Yeah.
He's never the boss.
I've
Now
read
he's
nothing
the
but positive
Did you just
things
tell the
about
story?
it, and everybody's basically like you'll
plot?
get used to the CG de-aging. Like
Yeah, you know,
you're
the
gonna
newest-
notice it immediately, and then you're gonna get used to it, and then not work.
The newest
watched
long
the movie.
trailer that I saw, you kind of like they show it a bunch, and you kind of like, okay, fine, like you just somehow get past it.
Yeah.
it's because if the story and the acting's good
because of
enough,
how much
it doesn't
time it
matter.
takes place in the film that they had
Exactly.
to kind of.
You're like, there's no way to go
I
do
think
it
it's
without
gonna
it
be
looking
done well.
stupid, because fucking Robert De Niro's an old dude
At
now.
least it doesn't look like Patrick Stewart in X-Men 2 when it was like glowing. His face is glowing, and I'm like, did he glow when he was like in his 30s?
No.
I don't know.
All right, guys. Well,
So I think they're equal. So I always do
They
this.
are actually.
'Cause
I would
they
say
hit
that.
a different angle.
I would concede to
They
that.
hit
yeah.
a different angle, and I think all the differences we said
Yeah.
made them different enough. They're in the same genre, but it's sort of like I wouldn't want one with the other because I don't want just one meal. I want 2 different ways. It's mafia films 2 ways, right?
Yeah.
So it's fried eggs and scrambled eggs. They're both good, but they're different.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy both of these movies, and honestly, like, if I was feeling mobby, like
just
those,
because
those would be my 2
well, but the thing
go-tos,
is,
right?
just because like I choose Godfather over Goodfellas does not in any way form saying that Goodfellas is less.
Yeah,
lesser
exactly.
film at all.
I would
I
say
just
that they're
have
probably
more
equal.
I
like
just
how I look
have
at them, yeah.
more attachment to
Godfather.
The Godfather.
Yeah.
So it's just like there was an argument on Facebook in this movie channel. They were saying, "Oh, which director is your best movie?" I'm like, "Well, if you love all the fucking films that they did, why they're and you feel like watching one of their movie, one of this guy's movie, doesn't mean you like this one lesser. It doesn't make sense to." To me, it doesn't make sense to put the directors, oh, I like this one number 1, I like this one number 2, because
Yeah.
if you love their films, it doesn't make sense to.
Right.
Yeah, you get it. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. But
So-
I do agree they both offer something different. You know,
They do, yeah.
One's a beautiful film, one's an entertaining movie.
Yes.
But both masterfully executed by brilliant directors.
Yes, they're both like almost the perfect film.
Yep.
Yeah.
If not. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us here at Get to the Movies. That's Get to the Movies with the number 2. My name is Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Clausen.
New Clausen, Diego D'Souza.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
I'm Nick
okay.
Gambino.
Okay, what the fuck? Wait, I mean, what the fuck is going on?
Look at how they massacred my boy.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.